Support for the Confederacy of Dunks is brought to you by
Manscaped,
who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming.
Manscaped
Offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels.
Big news.
Manscaped launched in Canada. For those listeners in Canada, you can be one of the first Canadians to experience their life-changing products. Matty D, one time I tried to put Nair on my hair down there. Let's just say third degree burn.
Freddie, one time used my mom's electric fabric shaver that picks up all the lint, got stuck on my nuts, had to call my mom for help.
Shut the monkey. That's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer and have their new and improved Lawnmower 3.0.
Their third-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. The battery is pretty damn good, too, lasting up to 90 minutes. No rushing, Fred.
Wow. Plus, the waterproof technology allows you to groom in the shower.
Ooh. And you know what I really like?
The LED light.
It illuminates when you're grooming so that you can get a precise trim, and I also have the option of shaving in the woods during a full moon.
They've also upgraded to a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology.
And let's not forget about the charging stand. Show your mower off loud and proud because this intelligently designed stand is a conveniently charging dock powered by
USB.
If you are listening to me speak right now, I want you to experience it firsthand for yourself. Trim that junk of yours.
Now get 20% off and free shipping with the code DunksPod
Dunkspod.
at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. And use the code DunksPod.
Dunkspod.
It's time to shave those balls, eh?
Your balls will thank you.
Hello. Anyone around here speak basketball? There it is.
It's the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast.
Kyle Lowry. Welcome to the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast. I am your host, Freddie Reis, and who, sir, are you?
I am the producer, Matt Duncan, here for you all to enjoy in any way you can.
Well, let me tell you, Matt, I enjoy you in a variety of ways.
Fantastic.
And the listeners, I do believe, enjoy you in many ways. So,
Hi, guys.
there you go. That voice right there is a new way for y'all to enjoy Matt. My favorite open face sandwich is a Matt many ways. It's basically him doing all these weird voices and some audio files that are grainy and sound tinny and like the Boogie Cousins one, if you've ever heard that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we haven't played that one in a while.
No.
Remember that? Remember that day when he signed the contract to go to the Warriors and he was all excited and
It's a big deal.
like, oh, wow. Boogie for $5 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then next year he signed with the Lakers.
Oh, man.
But yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone. This podcast is like we're a hardcore Raptors pod. We love the NBA. We don't have any inside knowledge, but we are fairly obsessive. So you're going to get some good stuff here.
We do have a little bit of inside knowledge. I did, serve Glenn Grunwald when I worked at Sport Mart back in 2002. So
Sport Mart.
yeah.
Wow. That sounds like 3 purchases ago.
Did you never go to Sport Mart?
I think I did, but
It was a really shitty sports store. It was like a discount sports store from out west. It was
like
pretty
Play It
bad.
Again Sports.
No, it was new stuff, but it was just all like, you go to Sport Check for the fancy stuff. You go to Sport Mart for like real, no sneakers over $80.
Right.
Like those are the top.
You go to Sport Mart, you bounce a tennis ball, it just doesn't even bounce,
Oh yeah.
right?
Well,
sort
I
of
saw
thing?
Glenn Grunwald came in there to buy a skateboard. The cheap bugger.
Glenn Grunwald, you should have known. And it's on you for not alerting everyone when that happens.
I know.
Okay, let's get to the goods.
Yeah.
Matt, if if people want to follow us, support us, wear this cool toque I have, which is anti-itch.
Mm-hmm.
Check out pods on the Sonar Network.
Yeah.
All the good stuff. Give it to me.
You know, we've got like opening like a magician opening a deck of cards at dunkspodcast.com for all our links. You know, as we have said now before, it is like a teenager's skateboard. You know, the inside of the deck covered in stickers. That is what our links are like, but they will get you where you need to go.
That's right.
If you want to go to the Sonar Network and see all the new podcasts that are going on, you can listen to us there as well. And you can also listen to us right on our website or on all the podcatchers, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. You know them all. And if you do want a toque, because it is getting colder. I know it's a little warm right now. You're getting a bit of a warm flash right now, everybody, but
just for a bit.
Just a little bit. You're going to need an anti-itch toque on your head. And there's only one brand in the world. That's the Confederacy of Dunks one. So get in contact with us. $20 a pop. Support the pod. Esquire.
Wow. I was wondering how that was going to end. Esquire was great. But Matt, let's also touch on, we got a extra special promo going this month.
We do, yes. Yeah, for the month of November. I don't know. You may have heard it before the episode started. You'll definitely hear it after, but we are sponsored by Manscaped, okay? Manscaped.com. Check it out. They've got the Lawnmower 3.0 trimmers. They got ball dusters, ball wipes, ball crop dusters.
Boxers. They have...
they got like nice...
sculptures of your own balls.
Yeah. Yeah, they got a lot of good stuff. And you know what? If you use... DunksPod is the code, DUNKSPOD. You'll get 20% off plus free shipping. Come on, guys. It's holidays. You got to buy some gifts. Dad probably needs a ball trimmer, all right? So
don't bring Dad into this, but for anyone listening, it makes for a nice gift.
Yeah. For you, yourself. Dad needs some ball wipes.
Wow.
Manscaped.com.
Matt is just on some kind of drag race right now. He's just like, let's get nasty.
Yeah.
Matt is kicking shit in the nos.
Yeah.
And I'm here for it, Matty. Wow.
I've been doing lines of the ball duster all day.
Oh God. This is good.
So, yeah.
It's a hot start. You know what though? Let's jump right into it. Let's start talking some ball and let's introduce these guests, right?
Yeah.
And before we do that, of course, email your city councilors and ask them what's going on with the police and why they have too much funding. Defund the police. It's an important movement. Keep it going. Okay. So with all of that said, Maddie, please just tell me if we're good to go. Tell me if everything's okay.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go. There's obviously a lot to talk about. Let's bring on these two guests. I'm pretty pumped for this episode. First guest. We made a weird connection a long time ago. He's kind of part of my family. Actually, not kind of. I think he kind of actually is part of my family. A hardcore Raptors fan, still with Criterion, I believe, has a awesome vintage VC jersey on. If you're checking on YouTube, please give it up as loud as you can, even if you're at home alone, for Daniel Reis.
It's always a lovely surprise to hear the song because I never remember it. So it's always, it's a brand new experience every time.
Yeah, it's a pleasure because Matt finds these free songs and assigns them to people, and it's their lifelong song if they ever do this show.
It's true.
I guess let's keep this train rolling because we got a new guest I'm super, super excited for. She works with the Raptors Queens podcast, a hardcore Raptors fan. And without further ado, Give it up as loud as you can, even if you're at home alone, for Alison. Alison, this is your lifelong song. Let me start by
Ooh.
apologizing.
Yeah, that's like some bad Atari game.
Yeah, we might have to make an exception, and if you grace us with your presence again, we'll give you a new song, because that song is like, yeah, it's kind of like an Atari game has fallen apart slowly and is like dying.
Forever your song.
Super excited to be here. Thank you for the invite. And I will say it's kind of an odd role reversal where you guys are talking about clothes first. So I'll just say that I am wearing my Spicy P t-shirt that I got for my birthday. So that's where I'm at with the apparel. And it's just really nice to connect with other Raptors fans.
Totally. I'm so excited to have you. And I have a Spicy P t-shirt as well. I'm not wearing it. Actually, I don't know if it's sorry, it doesn't have the Spicy P writing on it, but it has the Siakam like along the back. But nonetheless, it's a Siakam shirt, so I feel like we've already connected there.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, without further ado, let's talk some Raptors ball. Maddie, I know you got some kind of Raptors sting for me. Let's see what it is. Would you give it to me? That's right, folks. Nothing straightforward here on our podcast. Even our sound effects are delirious and they barely make sense. But that kind of fits for the off season. So let's just jump right in here. Alison, if you don't mind, I'll go to you first. So I think for me, there's kind of like three big issues going on with the Raptors, like right now in our off season, which is, what's going to happen with Fred's free agency, what's going to happen with Serge Ibaka's free agency, and then also where will the Raptors play. I think, there's different factors for each, and obviously we don't, have a crystal ball or exact foresight, but I want you to rank those three things for me as far as like, what are you thinking about? What are you interested in?
So from my perspective, I think the Raptors' first priority should be re-signing Fred. I mean, there's just such a cool narrative around him, and he definitely passes Masai's character test. This is the kind of player that he seems to put on the roster, people with character. I think back to that monster game that he had against the Warriors in Game 6. Just,
the best.
Unbelievable. And I remember his first year when he came up, and I remember like thinking, this kid, like short and can sure like splash the three ball.
Yeah.
So he's kind of a critical part. I think I would say he's the most important of the three, but I just wonder if he's going to be part of the Raptors long term. I just that last possession of the Boston game, that kind of encapsulated to me the issues with Fred. And he was very much hindered by size. So I just wonder if Masai trades him like through the year. I don't know. I hate to say it.
That's an interesting thought, because first of all, I totally agree with you on Fred. Like I saw the fire, he's incredible. He's kind of like plays bigger than his size, and also you can see the lack of kind of shot creation sometimes, or lack of playmaking. Like I mean, maybe we take Kyle Lowry for granted, and that's where that comes from. But you saw that Kyle fouls out the last play of the game. And it was just, dribbling the ball. And maybe that's something you overcome, but yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. I think but the interesting thing I haven't really been thinking about is, as far as retaining assets, does Masai, re-sign Fred while also keeping an open mind to trading him?
That's a really tough decision. and I guess we're hearing between 20 and 22 million. That's going to be the number.
Right.
I don't know. You know who I just keep thinking of in the back of my mind, but I'm sure that he wouldn't work for cap space, and I'm not even sure he would be available as D'Angelo Russell. I've always liked him, but I think he's not attainable for the Raptors.
Yeah, I know he just arrived in Minnesota there, and but I mean, it's going to be a weird year, and Minnesota you have to have the first overall pick, so I guess there's a chance they draft the youngest Ball brother. I'm forgetting his first name. LaMelo. Sorry. Yeah. I think that's a possibility too. No, where are you on like re-signing Serge? So Fred's number one, and yeah, are you concerned about where the Raptors play, or is it kind of like we can't control it? So.
Yeah, I put Serge as the second priority. I would love to see him back, but I just wonder if he fits into the Raptors' long-term plans. He's certainly a fit culture-wise and work ethic-wise. He seems to be very happy in Toronto, and I mean, it is a great city for international players. He's certainly going to be looking for more than a one-year contract. And I wonder if Masai can offer him, or I should say Bobby, because it's Bobby Webster making the decisions. I wonder.
Matt's going to love you for that. Matt's a big Bobby Webster fan here. We might even do a Bobby Webster chant later.
I just wonder if, Serge would take like a discount. I don't know. I kind of doubt it. And as far as where the Raptors play, I don't think it much matters. I mean, it would be nice if they could play in a city with a lot of expat Canadians, but it's not going to be like there's fans in the seats. Or maybe there's going to be like some modification. Like I've heard the number 25% fans like in the boxes, the luxury boxes where all the money's made. So I think it's clear that there's not going to be crossing of the border. So that was kind of my third. That's my thought.
Yeah, no, I think I'm like basically with you, and I mean actually all the way, because I don't see really Serge taking a major cut, and it also seems like the market for him is pretty high this summer. Like he's such a versatile big man and such a good leader, and I think the only thing I'm concerned about, I guess, as far as where the Raptors play, is just as like my own personal clock, I'm hoping for the same time zone.
Oh yeah.
So I'm hoping we stay in the Eastern time zone. If it's like 1 hour here, 1 hour there, it wouldn't be that bad. But I think if we ended up on the West Coast or something like that, it could be kind of late, a lot of late nights. Yeah, Daniel, where are you at with these, I guess, three, I want to say summer items, but it's November. So
feels like summer still. Luckily here, at least here on, in the Northeast, like you just said, beautiful weather in Ontario, beautiful weather here in Brooklyn where I'm at. I share the same number one, but I would have to say for me, number two is where the Raptors will play. And I have some suggestions even. I mean, I'm trying to think of like cities that are A, taking COVID seriously, or states that are A, taking COVID seriously, because we want to keep our team, our players and our organization safe. A city that also would have the athletic facilities suitable enough for playing, and teams that don't yet have an NBA team, or at least used to have a professional team. So I'm thinking either Pittsburgh, because it's already in Pennsylvania. It's not like too close to Philly that it would be like too many Philly fans, but maybe we wouldn't have any fans in seats anyways. But Pittsburgh, they're great. They obviously have the Penguins, they have baseball, they have football, they have Mr. Rogers. Falling Waters nearby if any one of our teammates wants to take a little tour to see some architecture.
Oh, for sure.
Lovely,
you gotta check out Falling Water.
Gotta check out Falling Water. And my other option is maybe Baltimore, also in Maryland. Not also in Maryland. Baltimore, Maryland, because they used to have an NBA team, I believe.
That's right.
The Baltimore Hawks before they moved to Atlanta. I believe I'm right. I'm not quite sure. Baltimore used to have a team way back in the day. Either. Yeah. But again, another great city that I think would be capable of supporting the team, both in terms of health, safety, but also in terms of athletic infrastructure. I think that would be good too.
Wow. I appreciate, some people are listening.
Right.
And I guarantee you the people who are listening to this pod are the big time decision makers.
Yes.
That's one thing I can guarantee. Whoever, we can't exactly see the listenership, but I got a good feeling that whoever's deciding, like, whether it's a bubble, the amount of games, all those major big time decisions, it's got to go through you. People want to hear your creativity. They know you take the player's safety seriously. I'm joking, but those are a lot of good. Those are a lot of good kind of factors, and I think it would be extra frightening to have the players be in a place that is not taking it seriously, or is particularly dangerous. But yeah, I'm basically of the mind that as long as they play in a way that is like accessible to Raptors fans, and it's obviously abundantly clear that it's like, okay, this is a temporary thing, they're coming back to Toronto.
Right. Yeah.
I'm a little bit concerned that for the players, particularly the free agents, I'm hoping that's not like a obstacle for, let's say, like Fred's agent. I hope that he's not, they're not looking at it like, well, also it's 2 years till Fred is even in Toronto. So, but let me move on here. Daniel, I'm going to ask you just a fun summary day in November question. So, COVID's been filled with lots of outdoor hangs, meeting in parks, stuff like that. So I want to ask you, which Raptor would you take on like a park hang, and what park? It doesn't have to be a park, just outdoor hang.
All right, I'm going not just outdoors, I'm going to the great outdoors. And if we're talking parks, let's think big. Let's go to Algonquin or something, because I want to go deer hunting with Norman Powell, because he's used to bagging some deer, specifically bagging some bucks. I call him the buck hunter.
Wow, nice.
Because in both 2017 and in 2019, he was kind of like the exclamation point on both of in terms of game-winning and series-winning moments.
His leaning dunks.
His leaning dunks.
It's always a good sign.
It's pretty much over if Norm starts to do that. So I've never hunted myself. I've fished maybe once or twice, but I think that Norm and I could don some camouflage, whether it's the more cartoonish kind or the hyper realistic kind where you have all the sticks and reeds and leaves. I'm sure we could come up. Well, I guess you don't need calls for deer. You have duck calls if you're trying to attract ducks. I don't know if there's deer calls.
Norm would show you the way.
He would show me the way.
Yeah.
He also, I think he just has great vision and confidence, and would make sure that we had a great time, even if we didn't take anything home.
Wow. Yeah. That sounds like a pretty pleasant time. Matt, I know you're gonna love this question, so just I want to plant it in your head. I'm gonna go to you after Alison, because it's an outdoor question. I know your wheels are probably spinning, but yeah, Alison, who's your Raptor, and what's an outdoor hang that you'd want to do?
Well, I kind of broke this down two ways. Did I have to pick a player?
Not necessarily.
Well, I went with Masai, and
Okay.
I would like to, and I am kind of 3 degrees of separation from Masai, but that's a whole other story.
Cool.
I'd like to do a late season hiking trip in Killarney Provincial Park. I think Masai would be down for that. And my other option was Norm Powell, but for a different reason than Dan, because obviously from the bubble, Norm was enjoying getting his fishing groove on. So it sounds like he's an outdoor guy. And I think I remember that he is learning either sign language this off season.
Oh, wow.
Like he's like intellectually curious. I think he would have like the ability to tolerate a 57-year-old. I think that would be fun.
Oh yeah, I'm loving that Norm is like this beacon of like warmness and it's everyone's go-to. It's like, who do you want to hang out with? You got to hang out with Norm. Like intellectually curious. I like that too. He does give those vibes of kind of like a mixture of calm, kind of like this calm curiosity, but there's strength there too, and there's a lot of confidence.
And he understands the grind.
He understands the grind. Understanding the grind is one of my favorite anythings, because it's like it's so there's not a lot of ways in. Like you kind of have to be a basketball fan already, and it's like it's built on other existing sayings, and I love it. It's a perfect brand. Matt, have you put any thought into this? Is there a park? Is there an outdoor space? We got some good stuff so far. We got Killarney and we got Algonquin, both Norm and Masai as well.
Yeah, I've actually I'm going to bring two former Raptors actually with me that I think would be important because there's two things that they provide that will make for a nice picnic. I'm going to bring Marc Gasol, and he's going to be bringing the rosé.
Cheers. Yeah.
So we're going to be pounding that.
And
then
I'm
bringing
some rosé. Yeah.
I'm bringing my favorite player since I've become a fan, Mr. Chuck Hayes, which will be bringing like a huge platter of McDonald's cheeseburgers, and we'll just be sitting there. You know what? Sure, let's go to Trinity Bellwoods in Toronto. Just the three of us pounding rosé, eating cheeseburgers.
Of all the places, you can take those two to Trinity Bellwood?
Well, the first place I thought was the White House lawn. Because it'd be kind of cool to see if Trump, because he sees all the cheeseburgers, if he would come out. Because I know he's also a fast food aficionado like me and Chuck. So,
fair.
Yeah, I think it would also be kind of nice. It would kind of really fuck with people being like, what the hell is going on now? Like, why is Trump eating cheeseburgers? And, Trump's never drank, apparently. So this is his first drink. He's drinking rosé on the White House lawn with Marc Gasol, Chuck Hayes, and seafood guy from The Boys.
This is what happens when I ask Matt, because your two answers, like, you're thinking about the calm Norm. Matt goes straight to like, listen, how do I sow more chaos in this very turbulent time? Why, of course, have a luxurious picnic on the White House lawn. Okay, a little bit back to serious stuff, but I mean, it's still just guesswork. Alison, I want to
Wait, Freddie, who did you go with? Who were your choices?
Yeah, sorry. I always blank out with my own personal choice. Okay, so I would like to go, because I recently just went there. Now, it's a little bit of a deep cut, but I would like to go to Frontenac Park. So I was just South Frontenac, or Frontenac, I'm not sure how to exactly pronounce it. It was beautiful. There was deers, beavers. I saw a bunch of new birds.
Whoa.
It was cool. And I think, like, I don't have a good justification for this because I don't even know if he would like it, but I would want to take Siakam. I just think it would be fun. We would be laughing. Maybe we'd be like too loud on the trail, so there'd be no birds around, but it would be okay, So yeah, South Frontenac, Pascal Siakam. Maybe if it becomes a bigger gathering, I know he's got a lot of brothers. I got a lot of brothers. Maybe it's like a full brothers hang, Yeah. So I think that's my choice.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
Solid.
Yeah, it's a solid one. It's not the norm determined. I don't have a great reason for bringing Siakam, but he's just one of those guys that seems fun loving, But actually, speaking of Siakam, Alison, I've just kind of been thinking about season. Well, we did get the date, but every year we all wonder about who's going to perform well or exceed, whatnot. And Siakam, I think, broke out the year prior, but he turned into our number one option, at least in the regular season. And it was definitely a statistical explosion. He made the All-Star team. I'm not necessarily asking who is going to make that type of leap, but I'm just curious who you think will be, the most improved Raptor.
I really hate to use a baseball metaphor, but this question is kind of like a fastball right down home plate, and I'm the hitter. The first player that came to mind was Paul Watson Jr. The glimpses that we saw of him this year, what a gem! Another undrafted player that the Raptors picked up. He's got nice quickness on his first step. He's 6'6", so he's bringing us length at the shooting guard position that we really haven't had. He's got really good sound offensive decision making. And I mean, we just saw him in bits and pieces. I did look up though, he played 27 minutes against Denver in the bubble, ended up with 22.6 rebounds. And my hot take, his ascension to a rotational player is going to make it easy to trade Norm Powell. I know I want to go like on a hiking trip with Norm Powell, but he's got a super friendly contract, and I think he gets moved. So Paul Watson is the one for me to watch.
I love that take. And I also love that you worked it into like, oh man, I'm going to get the call that Norm got traded while we're walking in Killarney. And I'm going to have to be like, it's nothing, Norm. Don't check Twitter. Let's just finish out the walk. It's a nice day. But yeah, Paul Watson, I actually, I knew he was on our roster, but that Denver game was awesome. I remember we were playing a lot of our, kind of guys who were trying to make a name for themselves. And Paul Watson looks like, like the full package. Like he can jump, he can shoot, he can defend. That's a wonderful pick. And I think he has definitely some runway room to head towards being like a rotational player. What about you, Daniel? Is there someone you're thinking?
Paul Watson's a great pick. I almost forgot his name, but for me, it's slightly more obvious. But I would have to say Chris Boucher. On its face, the practical reasoning would be that with Marc Gasol, almost a 99.9% certainty that he's not coming back, that he might be going to Spain or that he might be just retiring in general. There'll be more minutes for him at the center, with Serge's position on the roster also not necessarily locked down yet until we either see him leave or re-sign him. Either way, there's going to be greater opportunities for Chris, and seeing his confidence in shooting the ball from outside, his ability to have some highlight level dunks and highlight level blocks, his ability to come through in tough situations. I believe he was on the floor during our biggest comeback ever against Dallas earlier this season. He was.
Yes.
I think he was the center that was playing then. And I think he also had a fantastic game against the Lakers. There was an early season game in 2019-2020 where the Lakers were just not expecting Boucher at all. And so, obviously we love our slim duck. If he could add some bulk in the offseason and maybe be a thick duck, I think that he would be even more of a handle for other teams to play against in the paint. So I have high hopes for Chris.
Every time I hear the nickname Slim Duck, I think that, so many players have like not a great nickname, and he has like, I think 2 or 3 awesome ones. Cause I love Bloc Québécois.
Great as well.
That to me, that's a deep kind of Canadian cut, but coming from Montreal and being a big shot blocker, I just love that. Boucher is a great pick too, because, I remember when that LA game, when I think it was Serge who got injured. It was Serge and Kyle on that road trip, I believe. He really just, the way he blocked, in the fourth quarter, he blocked Davis, he blocked LeBron, and it was just like he was unleashed against his team. He also had a really big block on Giannis this year. His length surprises people. So, I mean, as far as like, putting on like the weight and bulk, like I never really know what's possible within a certain body type of a player. And like, he definitely seems like really skinny. So we'll see. But yeah, he's got a variety of skills. My guy was actually someone who was kind of, I don't want to say disliked by Raptors fans, but I think he had a weird year, and that's Pat McCaw. So he might get traded, but I think he's on a fairly, cheap contract. He was also on the floor during that Dallas run, and I think, is very reticent to shoot. But I also feel like he, Nurse trusts him, and he's definitely a guy who, people were like, why is he getting minutes over Davis? And I was one of those people too, was kind of confused. And I still think, he might be a fringe rotation guy, but he has enough defensive skill and smarts, and just playing for Golden State for a couple years and then playing for us. Like he's someone who's like his pedigree's trusted.
I was thinking during the Boston series, we could have really used his length. Like, I wonder if that would have tipped things a little bit more in our favor because, he would have been good out there.
Yeah, and I forget what exactly he got injured.
It was
It was
a cyst on his knee, I think, wasn't it?
oh,
Like
that's
a
what it was. Yeah, because I was gonna say infection.
like a
or something,
Baker
yes.
cyst, I think. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah, and that was like a quiet, like one of those quiet moments where it was like, wait a second, why is he just not being played? I feel like Rondé might have got injured in the playoffs as well.
Mm.
Okay, I think let's talk a little bit of NBA. How does that sound?
Sounds
good.
great.
All right, Maddie, I don't know what NBA sting you got. It might be Adam Silver driving a boat, but I trust you. I trust you with this pod. So, Maddie, please give it to me. Yeah, I think I came pretty close to timing it out that time.
Yeah.
Let's go to you, Daniel. So yeah, the season's happening. I think there was a short period of time where it was like, no, it's too soon. The big, with the LeBrons and the Lakers, and then the big superstars won't have it. But I think money, I guess, talks, and the season is very much happening on December 22nd. There's a couple key dates out there, and yeah, I just want to. My mind's rolling. Like, is this going to be like, how is each team going to approach this year? Is it going to be? Are we going to see a lot of resting from a Kawhi, a Curry, a LeBron? Are younger players like a Doncic maybe going to try and take advantage of this and say, like, well, I can play all 72 games, so I'm going to make sure my team has the number one seed type thing. So yeah, I'm thinking about it just in that way. But yeah, who do you think benefits from this shortened season? So we're getting the 72 game season.
I think the teams that would benefit the most, and I have them on completely different ends of the spectrum in terms of what their experiences were like in the last season. On the one hand, I have the Lakers because they don't have to change much going into next season. LeBron's going to be there. Davis is going to be there. Frank Vogel is going to be there. All of the turbulence that was happening with the front office at the end of the season before with Magic leaving and then this, that, and the other. Rob Pelinka, still questions around his leadership. All those questions have pretty much been answered. I think LeBron and Davis are the best 1-2 punch in the league by far. And they will be able to take all the rest that they need, and they can kind of continue in this groove that they're on. And they don't have to tinker much in order to get better. And I think that they have a huge potential to be even better this year. On the other end, a team that has probably played the least amount of basketball or meaningful basketball in this whole last season, but can be right back there in the championship conversation is the Warriors. You have Clay and Steph all taking more than enough time to heal from their respective injuries. You have Draymond, who is probably going to feel like he can play competitively again now that they're all back. And again, same coach, relative lack of turnover in terms of personnel. We'll see what they do with this number 2 pick. The only question is, like, what do they do with Wiggins, whether they try to make him a meaningful member of the core or whether they spin him off into another trade. And they're right back there in the championship conversation, and they don't have to, again, tinker that much to be there. And, they're probably the most refreshed or the most rested championship level team of the bunch.
Yeah, I think it's pretty fair. And something I didn't bring up, but is key is continuity. I think we, as Raptors fans, we've seen the benefits of it. And in a season like this with so much ambiguity about what exactly is going to happen, in the draft and free agency, there's just, it's not a year where you're gonna get a lot of certainty or kind of direct answers. So I'm with you. Alison, is there a team that kind of comes to mind for you that might benefit from the way that this season's shaping up?
Yeah, I agree with Daniel about the Lakers, but I wonder if Avery Bradley will be back. And I was concerned about their ability to like shot creation. Obviously, that was a needless concern. I just thought they were
Yeah.
thin at the 1-2 with Rondo there. But yeah, I think Denver will be. They're going to have some continuity with that team. Although I think Millsap is coming off the book, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with him. But I mean,
Denver's a
very
good choice,
much.
yeah.
Yeah, I also picked Miami. I don't think there's any way that Dragic goes elsewhere. It's just what kind of contract are they going to settle on? Because they were so close. And the other team I kind of looked at was Dallas. Dwight Powell, like I said to my friends, that they were Dwight Powell away from being in the finals, the
Wow.
Dallas Mavericks. So, and I think the Raptors have continuity with leadership. So, regardless of sort of what happens with the roster, they're going to come out of this okay. So, the two main teams like that I saw were Denver and Dallas being at a relative advantage with the shortened season.
Yeah, I like that, and poor Powell, because he was such an instrumental part of, I think, Doncic having obviously his rookie year was incredible, but this year it was massive, and it was. I'm not sure when in the year Powell tore his
It was
Achilles.
early. I
It
want to
was
say
pretty.
December, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
and he was so important for that team. He just kind of did a lot of things, and I hope he's healing up well. And yeah, I mean, I think he'll definitely be an important part of Team Canada if the Olympics
Yes.
happen.
I just checked out his injury update, and it sounds like he has like his goal is to be playing in game 1 of the new season. So, and that's
Oh,
another
really?
player. Yeah, that update was from I think August, but that's another player that would look great in the red and white in Toronto. Would love
Oh,
to have him. Tenacious
yes,
rebounder. Yeah, he'd be a nice piece.
and multi-skilled too.
Hmm.
He's got that. I think we used to look at players like kind of that are around his size, and there's someone like Kelly Olynyk. It's like, oh well, they're just a bit too small. It's like the tweener thing that people used to always say was always kind of like a derogatory thing, like, oh, he's a tweener. And now it's like, no, tweeners are wonderful. We
Mhm.
actually like guys that can do a lot of different things, particularly when defense is a lot less banging and a lot more kind of running around, playing these intense zones. Yeah, he'd be great in our zones. Yeah, my pick was I was kind of thinking Dallas. I don't want to be a homer, but yeah, the Raptors and kind of like our leadership brass for sure. And to prove I'm not a homer, I feel like I've been doing this like a bit of an apology tour for a little bit since I slammed them so much, but I do think Boston is set up to have a pretty good season. They have a lot of continuity, and even more young developing players. Like their draft pipeline is so good.
And don't they have 2 picks this year too?
I think
2 first
so.
round picks.
Yeah, and I should say I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I think this offseason, like next episode might be totally different, because this offseason I feel like could be quiet or could maybe be explosive. I know Hayward, there's a player option there, so I guess I assume he'll pick it up, but I never really know the calculus of these free agents, if they're trying to ensure more money down the road, or if it's a tumultuous time and they just want to say, hey, I'll take this year's contract. Thank you very much. But yeah, Alison, because kind of speaking of like different players in different places, you had the Russell thing earlier, which was a really good one. I feel like that would be an interesting fit, thinking about D'Angelo and Pascal. But yeah, rumors are flying. I was on my friend Catherine's pod the other day, and she was talking about how we've had like a week of Drew Holiday rumors. And it's been must be a wild ride for Drew Holiday.
It's like an annual tradition, really, for him now.
Yeah, he's gotten a lot of action. But yeah, is there any kind of trade you see happening, or you want to happen, or might be a big surprise?
I wonder about Atlanta. like they have a lot of young pieces, and I wonder if they would consider getting rid of their, like converting their, I think they have the sixth pick in the lottery into like more of a veteran player. They've got John Collins, I think, at the four, and there's a lot of buzz about Trey Young being an elite guard. Sure, he is on the offensive side of the ball, but I'm not so sure about the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
And the other team, I wonder, like, just if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, like, is Eric Bledsoe really your guard going in if you want to be in the finals? Like, I just don't see him as dynamic. And admittedly, I mean, I watch mostly Raptors and maybe one other NBA game of the week that doesn't involve the Raptors. I just don't see Eric Bledsoe getting it done for them. So those are kind of a couple teams I wonder about making some moves.
Yeah. I think that's a good pick because Milwaukee is a team, and I framed this question kind of weirdly when I first asked you, but thanks, because you nailed it in terms of like what I'm trying to get at, Daniel. Follow my twirling brain here, but what I'm trying to get at is it seems like some teams are kind of quiet, while others are, you're hearing a ton about Golden State, Brooklyn, in Philly, Maury's there now, so I think people are expecting fireworks. Houston, you have who knows what's going to happen. But yeah, there's some other teams like Milwaukee's a really good one where it's like I feel like we should be hearing Milwaukee rumors every day, based on what happened, and I get to Miami. And I mean, I guess the Giannis rumor is there, but yeah, who do you feel like we should be hearing, Daniel? Like, should be hearing more of like Team X is looking for a blank.
A team that was a Mike Conley bouncing in and out three away from going to the second round was the Utah Jazz.
Right.
They were as close as you can get to making it past the first round of the playoffs and didn't. I think at the beginning of last season, they were a lot of people's kind of sleeper pick or hipster pick or darling pick to make it pretty far in the playoffs. I never saw that myself, and it didn't really bear out that way. They have a pretty big remainder of Mike Conley's contract, not necessarily in terms of years, but in terms of value. That's looking very expensive. And they also have a huge decision to make with Rudy Gobert, whether or not to max him out or sign and trade or let him walk. I don't know if you just let him walk, but I also don't think that he is worth the amount that he could probably command, given that his contract can be inflated with the amount of all-stars that he's made or all defensive teams that he's made and those types of accolades. Donovan Mitchell, as we saw in the first round of the playoffs, putting up 50-point games has, huge potential. And I think you want to surround him with players that are on his same timeline in terms of age. And the Jazz, they were everyone's kind of favorite pick last year. And this year is kind of like, well, what are you actually going to do? Because they have a lot of decisions to make, I think.
Yeah, Jazz are a great team too, and I'll put my hand up for sure as one of the people who was like, the Jazz maybe going to the finals. And as the year progressed, I thought they had a really good roster, and Bogdanovich injury was a big blow. But it's a really good way to think about it. When you make that big splash, you do get a little bit more than a year, because there is that little bit of wait time to be like, okay, let's see what happens. And seeing the way it played out, you were really competitive against a team that went to the conference finals, but also you're probably thinking this isn't enough to be a major contender, and kind of like put yourself over the top, where if you do get a Bogdanovich injury, you can go on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It sounds like there might be locker room issues there too with Gobert. Like, I wonder how cohesive that bunch is. And my other thought, I don't know, I've never liked Quinn Snyder, particularly as a coach, some of his decisions. And I mean, I'm sitting at home thinking, like, why aren't you calling a timeout? I just wonder if they're looking at coaching there too.
That's I haven't heard anything about the coaching thing, but there is kind of some stuff going on, because I feel like as a team they've been inconsistent in terms of, 1 year they're amazing on defense, and then this year they seem to get better on offense while not exactly holding on to the defense. And yeah, Gobert. I mean, that line about Gobert being, someone who's difficult to be in the locker room with, like, that's been repeated for some time now. So I feel like when there's smoke, there's fire for sure. And I've heard, I don't know if it was Zach Lowe or who exactly was saying, but just, something along the lines of, he puts a lot of energy into playing good defense and almost has that Dwight Howard thing, from a decade ago, where it's like, I'm so good on defense, give me the ball more. And he can lose a sense of like what's good for the team, where it's like, hey, Donovan Mitchell, basically whatever he's doing is going to be better than trying to run plays through you. Hey, that takes us to our last segment of the pod, quickish questions. Probably going to get pretty silly here. Are you two in? Sounds good?
Yep.
All right, Maddie, it's quickish questions time. So please, good sir, give me that quickish question sting. Quickish questions. I feel like one day I'm going to get mugged and someone's going to make that sound effect back to me, like in a mocking way. And they're going to be like, listen, you should have never tried to match up with the sound effects. I just wanted to hear them normally. Anyways, that's a pretty scary vision. Hopefully that never happens.
Jesus, yeah.
I know. As soon as I started to say it, I'm like, this is getting dark. And I think I'm scared of my own premonitions. Okay. So quickish questions. Here's how it works. I'm going to, stumble, stutter through, and probably butcher some questions as quick as I can. I'll probably misread a comma or two, but that doesn't matter. It's your job to answer as quickly as humanly possible. You can't phone a friend. Doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. You just gotta whatever comes to your mind. Maddie,
Got it.
you ready for this or what?
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's do Alison, Daniel, Matt. Okay, here we go. Wait, sorry. All right. Alison, who is the best recording artist in the NBA?
Dame. Dollar Dame.
Gotta go with Dame. Daniel, who will be the player who is most out of shape coming into the season?
Joel Embiid.
Okay. Matt,
Yeah.
how many games of a 72-game season does Kawhi play?
Wow. I think he's going to play 50.
I like that. Allison, who would be a better fit for the Raptors, Drew Holiday or Victor Oladipo?
Oh, that's a hard question. I'm going to say Depot. Always liked him.
Yeah, and the shooting guard thing I like. Daniel, we're going to hear this question a lot. Where's Giannis going?
He's going to Toronto.
Okay. Matt,
Yeah.
who wins in an old-timey duel between Jack Armstrong and Leo Rautins? Pistols.
I want to give it to Jack.
Yeah. Okay, and then also sticking with this theme, Allison, who wins a joust between these two?
Oh, I'm going to go with Maddie.
I love it. Daniel,
Yes.
what would you add / change to take the inflatable Raptor bit to the next level?
Ooh, maybe
It's
some,
already a good bit, let me just say.
yes, maybe some helicopter blades so that he could float above the crowd. Or whatever the technology they use. You know how at some arenas they have like little blimps that drop off like burritos or, food
Yeah.
and things like that. Like he needs to be airborne now. Maybe he needs to get
100%.
wings. He could be, I'm sure that there was a pterodactyl raptor hybrid somewhere in the Jurassic era.
Well, it kind of fits because like aren't raptors supposed to be like chickens? And I think chickens can they can't fly, but they can get some air sometimes.
They sure can.
So maybe it's one of those like chicken flights,
I mean-
it's just like that's that sort of thing. Okay, Matt, if there is a basketball league of teams made up of mythological creatures, which mythological creature or which mythology will be the champions?
Which mythology would be the champions?
It's a busy question.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Oh boy, what
I love it.
can God, I don't know. Like, does it have to be like an existing mythology?
Honestly, I have no idea. I if someone ever asked me this, I'd be like, Xerxes?
I was gonna say like the Harry Potter kids.
Okay, we're going with the Harry Potter kids. Hey, that's a mythology. Come on.
Right?
They have sports.
They have
They got sports.
Quidditch. Okay, Allison. How many shots, I guess, of tequila does LeBron make Biden do when the Lakers visit the White House?
Oh, I'll say 2. I wonder how big of a shooter guy Joe Biden is. I see him more of a Scotch guy, but I think I think 2.
Yeah, shooters would be, pretty intense, but I mean, LeBron will be excited, I'm sure. Okay, sticking with this theme, Daniel, how many shots does Kamala Harris do?
Well, she now 24 for Kobe.
24, yeah.
Whoa.
I love that. She does 24 shots and it's like totally fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could.
Mamba mentality.
Yeah, mom mentality.
Kamala mentality. Yeah.
Matt, this is the last question here.
Oh my God.
What is okay, I'm just going to say best basketball video game of the 90s, 2000s, and 10s?
Now I don't have much experience playing a ton of them, but I will always be a hardcore NBA Jam fan. Circa 94.
Okay, there actually wasn't the last question. Sorry. Allison, I got one more for you, and Daniel will actually, you know what? Let's make this an all play. What's like I'm just going to ask you in general, what arena has the best soundtrack in the NBA?
That's I'd have to say the Raptors, but I mean, I admittedly I don't watch a lot of other NBA games. So, what do you guys think?
Daniel?
I'm gonna zag here and say, rather than take an arena with a soundtrack, I would rather be at an arena with an organ player, and I believe that is still Atlanta.
Atlanta has an organ, organ player.
And I want to say there's at least one other team that also has an organ player, but Atlanta for sure I know has one.
Wait, is it Milwaukee?
Oh, maybe. I'm not sure.
I know when I saw the Pistons, they had like a kind of like a funk band.
Oh wow!
In one of the, although it was a rather empty stadium, so it was a bit weird too. Because I was like, okay, the funk band's cool, but Matt, what's your what's the best possible soundtrack for NBA game, or what's your favorite soundtrack?
Well, yeah, the only other arena I've been in is a Pistons game in Auburn Hills.
Right, we were there together.
Oh, that's true. And I'd say does Montel Jordan perform every single game?
I don't know, but that was cool. When we were in Detroit, they were like halftime performance Montel Jordan, and we were like, "Is this for real?"
Wow,
it was wonderful.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah, I guess you gotta go. Sorry.
Were you guys at the game that in Auburn Hills that George Clinton performed at? Like the Funkadelics? Was that?
No, that would be awesome.
Yeah, and you know what was cool? I actually had courtside for that game. I splurged, and Andre Drummond came out and sat where the players' wives sit and watch the band set. Like, it was pretty cool to see him.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like paying respect to the pioneers, right, of funk. It was that was amazing. Like, I get to see a game and the Funkadelics. Like, that was great.
How many Funkadelics were there? Was it like George? It's like did they basically take 30 minutes to introduce them all?
No, I think this was some kind of 2016 iteration of them.
Okay.
But George Clinton was there for sure. It was great.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Well, yeah. On that happy kind of funky note, this is the pod. We made it. Thank you both so much for joining. It was awesome.
It was fun.
Yeah, this is a good time. I'll go to you first, Daniel. Criterion, obviously, get your good movies, everybody. But yeah, what do you want to tell people?
On the Criterion channel right now, I always try to think of basketball related content to share. And we do have an ongoing series called Adventures in Moviegoing, where we invite luminaries from film, literature, all sorts of, fields to come on and talk about their history of going to the movies and their favorite films in the Criterion collection. So Kareem Abdul-Jabbar sat down for one of these last year or 2 years ago, and his favorite films that he suggested were all Westerns and some samurai epics. So he has some really great samurai film picks. And he has a great interview talking about, going to see movies when he was going to UCLA as a college player, and yeah, fascinating guy.
I love it. Yeah, I love Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is such an incredible figure. Alison, everyone, please check out Raptors Queens pod. But where can they find you? How can they help you? Do y'all have a Patreon?
It's kind of a labor of love. Like, none of us, it's not our primary gig. We just do it because we're all like hardcore fans. So we're on Stitcher, Apple, anywhere you get your podcasts, we're there. We have an Instagram, we're on Twitter. So yeah, check us out. It's been fun. Having Paul Jones was like the highlight of
amazing.
of our year so far, and we're like looking into the future. So I don't have anything to promote other than wear a fucking mask, and
yes,
there is a climate emergency. So that's pretty much all I have to say.
Hear, hear.
Hear, hear. And just a quick, if for folks who want to check out this pod, maybe go listen to the Paul Jones episode. That would be awesome. I was, super lucky to see Paul Jones in kind of like a Q&A scenario at the Rivoli last year. And it was awesome. He's such a like an important kind of Raptor figure. So congratulations. That's incredible. And yeah, everyone, wear your fucking mask. It's a climate emergency. Come on now. Let's take this seriously. Matt, I feel like we're here. We made it to the end of the pod. Thanks everyone for listening. Share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And Matt, if you feel like we're good to go,